Ever since the dawn of gaming itself, there have been people trying to exploit games for their own benefit. Now, I don't know much about hacking or the process itself. Heck, I can barely download a mod without corrupting something. But I do know a good bit about video games, and have a knack for analyzing their inner workings. Over the years, I've played many games, and in all of them, I've seen lots of hacks, some good, and some not so much. But the two most interesting examples of this that I've seen were found in two pretty similar games. So let's look at hacking in Minecraft's 2b2t versus Roblox's Apocalypse Rising. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know this, but 2b2t is the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. Now that we have the obligatory FitMC joke out of the way, we can talk about the server. An Anarchy server in Minecraft terms is pretty much just a server with no rules. You can hack, cheat, grief, and scam all you want, and no one's gonna stop you. But you have to be ready for when someone wants to return the favor. This is a big part of life on 2b2t. Pretty much everyone you meet will have some sort of hacks on, ranging from seeing through walls to making literal copies of yourself. You can play without hacks, but you'll have a much easier time with them. And it's not like these hacks are hard to get or anything. All you really have to do is download one and look up a tutorial, then boom, you're all set. 2b2t hacking really reminds me of that one scene in The Incredibles where Syndrome says,
"And when everyone's super, no one will be."
and that's really the case. So 2b2t ends up being as fair as an Anarchy server really can be. But it's not totally fair. There are some things that aren't accessible to the average person. For example, Future is a hacked client with a price. For $20, you'll be able to teleport, duplicate items, and do pretty much everything your heart desires. I could go all day explaining each individual hacked client for 2b2t and all of their similarities and differences. But that would bring us no closer to finding out the impact that hacks have for all players. One thing I do want to touch on though, that I thought was pretty cool, was the usage of bots on the server, mainly Baritone. Baritone was a project started back in August of 2018 by Ledgerb. The first iteration was pretty primitive. All it could do was go straight, move to the side, break blocks, and kinda jump. Eventually, Baritone got better, and as it evolved, its user base increased too. As of now, it has around 2 million downloads and tens of thousands of active users. Its main use being to navigate players out of the extremely dangerous spawn area safely, and do other monotonous tasks that most players don't want to do. This is taken to the extreme with delivery bots, where players can pay real money to get in-game goods delivered to their location by bots. In the end, hacks and exploits in 2b2t are used to better the experience of the user, without taking much from other players. The same cannot be said about Apocalypse Rising. If 2b2t is the Wild West, Apocalypse Rising is a frickin' Roman Colosseum. But to understand, first we need a little bit of background. For those of you that don't know, Apocalypse Rising, or APOC for short, is a Roblox game created in 2008, which was one of the most popular games in the site between its release and the late 2010s, with tens of thousands of active players daily. The game can be best described as a multiplayer survival shooter where you scavenge a large map filled with enemies and zombies, looking for loot and treading carefully, because you know that all the materials you've gathered for hours can be gone in an instant if you don't. But if you look at the player count now, you'll see that it's dropped drastically, which at first is a bit confusing. It's still a fun and unique game with a good gameplay cycle and pretty polished mechanics for a Roblox game. The only change is the hackers. If you joined a game of APOC today, you would almost certainly get in a game with at least one hacker. In most other games, that wouldn't be that bad, but APOC doesn't have a reporting system, and the main dev, Gus Manick, is left with very little options, as an anti-cheat will be useless within days because the game's script was leaked. So the hackers get to run around with pretty much any hacks they want. This includes the ability to teleport, modify in-game vehicles, spawn in bases, insta-kill players, and just kick players altogether. As time went on, the problem had only gotten worse. As the hacks are so easy to come by, all you need to do is just look up a YouTube tutorial and win. The only challenge a hacker could ever face would be another hacker, in which case, whoever has the better script or anti-kick will just remove the other hacker from the match. All of this makes playing the game really sucky for the average player. You could grind for hours and get the best loot in the game and be killed within seconds by someone who just thought it would be funny. This really only makes the game fun for hackers, who are, weirdly, keeping the game alive themselves, even though they're the ones who killed it. But there is a sequel coming out sometime in the future, probably, so at least there's that. Hacking can affect different games in very different ways. Hacks in 2b2t enhance the experience of the average player, while in APOC they did the opposite. I think there are two reasons why this really is. The first of these is the design of the games in question. Anarchy Minecraft servers are created with hacks in mind, and due to this, there are already norms in place for players to keep the experience as enjoyable as possible. Roblox games, however, were not designed for hacks in any way. There's no hacking norm that evens the playing field, leading to an incredibly unfair and, more importantly, unfun experience. The second reason is the kind of hacks used in each game. 2v2t hacks are what I call complementary hacks, and yes, I just made that up. What I mean by that is that they complement your experience more than they intrude on the experience of others. And APOC hacks are what I like to call breaking the game. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I know it took a while for this to come out, and there's a reason for that. I just moved into college, so as my schedule ramps up, uploads might slow down. As always, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Peace.